Hi, everyone. Hi, yes, how are you
Hello,
doing?
I'm good, thank you. Sorry, guys, for starting a bit late. Sorry
Don't
about that.
worry.
My
Yes, some
fault.
things happen.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was my fault. Few things came up. Yes,
Yeah,
and how are
you
you
usually
doing
have
too?
emergencies, so that's no problem. I'm doing fairly okay. It was a lot better than last week. Yeah. But yeah. The only thing is that I am a bit peeved. Yes, really
You're
peeved.
peeved. Oh no.
Yeah,
What's
you
what's
saw the title, right? You saw the
what's
title.
what's what's got you peeved?
This bigoted sociologist is just trying to marginalize LBGTQ plus here in Barbados
Oh,
and
here we
impose
go.
all of her dogmatic um, beliefs on everyone. And she's ashamed of a sociologist, supposed to be a doctor in sociology, but clearly a lot of things that she's saying does not match up to sociological evidence and research, even though she will claim it is. But clearly, you can see her dogmatic, the Christian dogma coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's an article that she posted recently, Saturday, the 25th of February,
Yes.
um, in the Daily Nation newspaper here, the main newspaper. And it is sad and pathetic.
Oh
But
no.
yeah. So what we're going to do, we are going to look at that article and some things that she said on Facebook too, in relation to all of this stuff
So
about declining birth rates. She's blaming the declining birth rate on the LBGTQ plus.
wow. No, let's just say hello to the people in the chat. Look
Yep.
out
Oh
for number
yes. Oh
one.
yes.
And
Oh,
guys,
for number one was what? Huh?
look out
S.
for number one was
He
first.
was first. Yeah. Yeah. And he
Oscar.
says somebody's going to be really jealous or
No, he's not going to be jealous. Steve McRae manager has been missing in action, so
wow.
he's been missing in action.
Wow.
Can somebody send out a send out a notice
Notice.
that he is wanted? Someone get him, please. Huh? He has been
Oh,
missing in action for some
missing
time
the
now.
action for some time. Oh, yes. And stupid monkey philosophy is here. Hi.
Stupid
Hi.
philosophy. Stupid
Oh,
monkey.
yes.
What's the name? Stupid monkey
Monkey
philosophy.
philosophy.
Oh wow. So guys, we're streaming on Phil's channel. Phil has asked me to come on his channel to stream this. But we've linked it to my channel so that we get you all to shift base over to
Yeah.
Phil's, and we will stop this one on my channel in a second. Uh, and please make sure it what last time I made that mistake of
Oh, yes.
so
You're
hopefully I don't
pressing it
make the
wrong.
same mistake this time around. So yes.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's because the thing is so close to the end broadcast
Mm-hmm.
link. You might have meant to press the down arrow and accidentally press the end broadcast.
Yeah, I pressed
That's the
something.
only way. Well, yeah, it will be in the end broadcast. That's the because it is close to that. You accidentally, if you don't click on the down arrow properly, it will do that. Yeah, but anyway, we we have I don't know. It's really sad when you have persons who supposed to have certain credentials in certain fields, and because of their faith, because of their belief, they let their belief trump the actual research, and they co-opt their belief. They try to fit research to fit their belief. And this is what we're having here. So I'm going to pull up the article.
Okay.
Let's see, I have to pull it up from. Okay, I saved it on the computer. So, as I said, it's a article that she wrote, a letter she sent into this to the main news paper here, right? Called the Daily Nation. So let's see where I can find that.
I'm not a real philosopher. I just play one on YouTube.
He's a
Just
pretend
pretend
philosopher.
philosopher.
Oh
I like the
wow!
sound of that. Can you imagine how many pretentious people are online,
You know?
especially all these apologists that come,
Oh yeah,
you need to come and speak with authority from the
40.
Bible, and
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
they want you to think
And
that.
mm-hmm. And you could say she's kind of like a apologist too, but pretend she's speaking. When you see the article, you will realize. Okay, let me pull that up there. Good. So I had to copy it and window screen, right? Share. So it should be there. I wanted to, right. I don't know. I will have to read it because it's kind
It's
of
quite small.
small, right? Basically, is this person who's supposed to be a doctor in sociology, but she owns or part of some charitable organization here. It has to do with faith and family or something like that. And she has been, for a number of years, have been fighting against LBGTQ plus for them to have equal rights, claiming that one, they are destroying the country and a whole bunch of shit, a whole bunch of crap. So she's saying apparently it seems as if some churches are not speaking out. So her title for the article was "Speak Out or Shut Up, Church." And it says there's a time and place for everything. So she's quoting from Ecclesiastes.
Oh no, not
Ecclesiastes 3.
ecclesiastics. Not ecclesiastics.
Oh,
Uh, a time to born, a time to be born,
to
and
be
a time
born,
to
a
die.
time to die, a
A time
time
to
to
have
eat.
a time to have a poop, and a time to
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Jesus, a time to do this,
Do
and a
this, I
time
do
to
that.
do.
Oh boy. So she's Ecclesiastes 3:7 tells us that there is a time to keep silent,
I don't
but it
care what
also tells us that there's a time to
Ecclesiastes
speak.
says. I don't care what
It's,
Ecclesiastes is. Jesus.
hi, hi apostasy.
Hey, apostasy. Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome. Uh, yeah, so she says this she's saying that there's this time using the Ecclesiastes, trying to say, oh, there's this time to be silent and time to speak, and now is the time to speak up and let your voice be heard and be counted. But that's, you see, she's doing it from her own dogmatic position,
Perspective.
trying to
Yeah.
impose her dogma, her Christian dogma on everybody else. Whereas the LBGTQ plus is not trying to impose dogma or anything like that or anyone. They're just asking for equal rights because they are human beings and they have rights too. But you have these Christians who feel that it is their God given right, and they believe that with all their heart, to impose their dogma on everyone else in the country and screw everybody else. And it's sad. And it's sad that some politicians fall for this crap. promote this sort of crap too. So apparently, she said the question before the church is, what time is it? And she's now saying it is time to separate people from politics, to be compassionate towards LGBT. She then put on the Q. Hi, T-Lex. Welcome. And
Gary
Gary,
is passing
Chris
through.
Presley. Welcome. Right, so she's saying compassion, but as we can go through, we are going to see no compassion is not in there. That's bare rhetoric, as usual. Oh, love the sinner but hate the sin, and that don't usually comport or work together really and truly, because the rhetoric and what happens, I love you, but yet they want to withhold rights of these, claiming that one, they are rebelling against God, and so if the country put these laws in place to for the rights of these LBGTQ plus, that they're destroying the country, and God would turn it back on the country. The usual. Hi, Bree, welcome. Veiled Rose, welcome. Welcome, Bree. Yes, bzzz. Ah, trust me, this is going to raise your blood. This is a warning. It's going to raise your blood pressure, or might. But anyway, right. So she says, it is time to separate people from politics, to be compassionate towards LGBT, but to stoutly resist and expose the international anti-God rebellion. Who is doing anti-God rebellion? What? She's now trying to set up this straw man, that she can pull down. What time is it when a country begins to feed school children in misinformation about human sexuality? Clearly, she's supposed to be, and for those who just came on, she is supposed to be a doctor in sociology. But from my research, from what I see about human sexuality, especially in relation with sociology, it is not what she is claiming it to be. She's going against a main sociologist. She's using her Christian background, her Christianity, to define human sexuality. We're trying to put it in a box that's only male, female, that sort of thing. Right. So she's saying that the country is feeding school children misinformation about human sexuality. Okay, let me give a little background there. Recently, the Ministry of Education has come out with what they call a grooming policy, right? Where you can't discriminate. If a male wants to plait their hair, they can have the hair plait in school. If the girls want to wear braids, as long as they're not elaborate, whatever elaborate means, they're allowed to wear. Before, they weren't. And the guys who had their hair plait had to put on a tam, right? And so she's referring to that, and a lot of Christians, even within my school, when they heard that this thing was in the works, their thing was, oh, they're gonna allow the boys now, if they want to wear a dress, to wear a dress. If a girl want to wear the male things, they can wear the male stuff. And she's going on that same thing. But whether or not that's the case, the point is it is about equality, dealing with gender, whatever, whoever they want to identify as. But the main thing was that children will not be discriminated based on here and that stuff, right? So she's saying that these people are spreading misinformation about human sexuality. So I have a question for her. What is her definition or her usage of human sexuality? Because from what I have found online about from the sociological aspect, human sexuality basically is, let's see, right. Human sexuality, as observed and defined by most sociologists, is the way people, and I quote, the way people experience and express themselves sexually. Right? But let's see how she's using this term or misrepresenting human sexuality. She says, what time is it when a country begins to promote, legalize, and celebrate sin? So for her, this sin thing is the LBGTQ stuff, or saying, trying to educate children on that there are different genders and so on, not just two. All right, so that is how she's viewing it. And then the thing is, basically what she's saying, because sin, there's nothing such as sin. The Bible's definition of sin, basically, or sin in religion, is usually a missing of the mark and the standard that their God have set, whether moral or immoral, from our point of view. Right? So she is claiming that it is a sin to be LBGTQ or to practice or to be, be that. But she said, you see, she got straight to, based on biblical principles about the Christian's role in society, it's time for Christians to speak out loudly, clearly, and persistently for the good of the country and the glory of God. Our mandate comes from Jesus. Fuck Jesus. We don't care about Jesus, because Jesus is that Jesus in Bible is a myth. And we don't care what he says, because it's just a man. Whether that person existed was just a man.
Can you send me this article? Is it possible to send it?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Let me just quick second. Just quick interruption. Please, guys, if you're on my channel, can you please move over to Phil's channel? This is a Phil stream, but we're streaming just for a few minutes on mine. So we can usher you all by your hands to Phil's channel. Phil is peeved tonight. Phil wants to put a placard out tonight. He wants to talk about this. So he has said to me, you need to join me on this, because I am peeved 100%. Move over to Phil's channel.
And because you spoke about this very same thing on your channel just the other night. When somebody, just the other day, when I saw this, someone in the Humanist Barbados sent the article, the clipping, in the group chat. And when I saw that, I said, but this is the very same thing that Esther just spoke about, and yeah, and so. And then I was peeved, and now I'm even more peeved. This one. Yeah. So you realize that she's focusing not on from a sociological point of view. She's doing it from her dogmatic biblical point of view. So she don't care about anybody else, but it is what her thing says. And she say, "Oh, you gotta speak out loudly, clearly, for the good of the country." What good? Because what is happening here, when this happens, you are marginalizing people, you are traumatizing people, you are sending people towards suicide. Because now you make it even students. Oh, pardon?
Sorry. So, question in the chat. How do I find Phil channel? Just give me a second. I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Feel sorry. You carry on. I'll put the link.
Okay. Right. So she says, our mandate comes from Jesus, who likened his followers to salt, indicating the positive impact that Christians should have on society. But the problem with that, right, is that at that time there weren't Christians. So was Jesus really talking about Christians? Food for thought. Just as salt preserves and gives flavor to food, so too must this substance that preserves the moral and spiritual taste of society. What moral? We know that the Bible is very immoral. Supports slavery, misogyny. So I don't understand where she's getting this thing about moral. There are moral pronouncements in the Bible, but they're not. There are a lot of things in there that are not moral. A lot of those pronouncements are not moral because they cause serious harm, serious trauma, severe guilt to persons, unnecessary guilt. And then I read that thing there about salt. You know, in that passage where she took that from, where talk about Jesus said he salt. I think it's in Matthew, after the Beatitudes, Matthew 5. And he said, he salted the earth, and if the salt loses its savor or flavor, salt does not lose any flavor or savor. So Jesus was wrong. I can tell you he was totally wrong. I am a chemist. My main degree is in chemistry. And salt does not lose its flavor or savor. So off the bat, I could dismiss that. And so she's saying, if our salt is missing, society remains tasteless and worse yet, putrefied. No society, all the societies that are secular, mainly secular, you realize that they thrive better than those societies which are religious. And as you know, we see that in Nigeria, in a lot of those Black African countries that are very religious, people are in serious poverty, famine, whatever, because the answer is always prayer. You pray and God will take care of it. And up to now, nothing has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of those persons, as we have seen, are very corrupt. Right? They're very corrupt. And so that Christianity actually does more harm to societies, because look at history. When the Roman Catholics were in power, political power especially, everybody else suffered. People were persecuted. Laws were put in place which marginalized other groups. Then when the Protestants got into power, they do the same thing and do the same thing to each other too. So historically, we know this is a bunch of crap, a bunch of shit she's talking. And again, I say it is really sad that a person who's supposed to have a doctorate in sociology is spewing this sort of garbage. and she should know better. But no, her Christianity trumps her sociology. Therein lies the problem. And then she has people following her with this crap. Oh, because she has the name doctor. You know, people abuse that, abuse titles. And we saw it during the pandemic too. People abuse the titles. They learned one thing, and then because they got this title, now they're trying to pretend they're speaking as authority on something else. Or speaking, oh, I have a doctorate, so I know what I'm talking about. So people, you see, the Caribbean, you'll find here in the Caribbean, I don't know, SF is the same thing or similar in Africa, where as long as somebody has doctor behind their name, people
Yes,
tend to
the
think they're
respect.
speaking from authority,
Mm-hmm.
rather than look at what is the general consensus of those doctors are saying. What is the research saying? So that is why she can get away with this crap here in Barbados and the Caribbean. Because the layman in the street tend to fall for that sort of stuff. And there's no, the critical thinking, something is lacking. And we know that's the same for Africa too. That's what happens because the critical thinking goes through the door. It's all superstition, magic, and that sort of magical thinking. Because people are looking for hope, and these people come and present false hope, and keep people in a perpetual state of not moving forward. She says Jesus also likens us to light. As he put it, no one takes a light and hides it. Instead, he puts it in a permanent place where it can pierce through the darkness. Look around. Barbados is walking in spiritual darkness. But what do you mean by the word spiritual? She has to define that. The blind leading the blind doggedly into a ditch. Really? All she's making is claims after claim, but there's no evidence, no evidence whatsoever. By not shining our light, we become complicit with the decadence and condemn our country to darkness, because only light can dispel darkness. Darkness can do nothing about itself. That sounds like a whole word salad there, don't you find so?
Listen, I'm just trying to figure this out, honestly. I'm trying to understand where exactly she's coming from, because she's doing a whole lot of word salad.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And going circular in circles. And for a person who's supposed to be, again, I say, a doctor of sociology is supposed to be intellectual. This is a sort of garbage.
Not everyone that has a doctor in their name. You don't.
I know.
It doesn't.
I know
anything.
that. Correct. I know. But the thing is that she's supposed to be learned it, right? And now this is raising question in my mind. Where did she get her doctorate? I think she did get it from the same university that I got my degree from.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she got hers from where Kent Hovind got his from.
well, the way that she's speaking here, it make it sound as if she's making it seem as if she got hers from there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Right. Says in 2 Corinthians 5:20, Paul says that we are ambassadors for Christ. An ambassador is responsible for making his countries his. Why didn't she say her misogynist? For making his country's position known on a given issue. As ambassadors, Christians must keep in constant contact with God through prayer and seeking his wisdom and direction in responding to the LGBTQ movement.
It's a movement.
a
Right.
movement.
A movement. Right.
But the
Mm.
thing is, we know that there are studies that were done that actually strongly indicate that prayer
It's
is
like a
no different
placebo.
to coincidence, a placebo. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best word, a placebo. Yes, they found that it settles people, but just the same way that meditation does, yoga does. Yet Christians will want to say those things are demonic.
Mm-hmm.
But prayer, when people believe in prayer, they settle like the same thing in meditation and so on, where they feel comforted. But my thing is it true? Is it true? Because
Question.
a person that is drunk will feel real wonderful, but afterwards the after effects.
So
But this,
should I
mhm.
continue reading? Right? You've gone
Yeah,
almost at
if you can
halfway.
see it,
Yeah, I can see
you
it
can
now.
see it.
Yeah, I made it
Okay.
slightly bigger. Okay. So she says, I'll start on that paragraph again.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 Corinthians 5:20, Paul says that we are ambassadors for Christ. An ambassador is responsible for making his country's position known on a given issue. As ambassadors, Christians must keep in constant contact with God through prayer and seek his wisdom and direction in responding to the LGBTQ movement. But does God expect us to pray and do nothing else? Is he saying to us, like he said to Jehoshaphat, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord? Or is he saying to us, as he did through Nehemiah 4:14, don't be afraid of them? God is saying to the Christians, don't be
Uh,
afraid of the LGBTQ movement. They're such a big force. They're minority, but they're
yes.
such a huge force. So, just like I said to Nehemiah, my dear Christians, I'm saying to you, do not be afraid of the LGBTQ people.
People.
See,
But
what an advice. Lovely, lovely
but
advice from God.
but ask baby, but ask who is causing the harm? Who is attacking who? The LBGTQ plus is not attacking the Christians. It's them that are attacking the LBGTQ plus. And you remember just the other day, somebody went and shoot a in I can't
Mhm.
remember where it was in the states. Went
A
and,
club.
shoot
Was it
the
club
club.
or somewhere where
Yes,
people were?
there was one before in Florida, and then there was one recently.
It's
And the LGBTQ
terrible.
plus is not doing anything to the Christians.
They just
But you see
want
how they're
to.
stirred.
They, they just we. Can we all not just exist? Just let
You
people
know,
live and let
leave
live.
and leave.
Eh? Live and let live.
It's
Why is what someone what they do with their private parts? How is this such a threat
correct. Yes.
to these bunch of religious people? How is it such a threat?
How is it? But again, as I said, they're trying to create this straw man to pull down
Mm,
because they have a hatred for the LGBTQ. Because don't forget, I speak plainly.
hmm.
Don't forget the Bible claims
Oh God,
that
not that book.
homosexuality
Oh,
is an abomination
okay.
in the sight of God. And the word abomination means stench. It's supposed to be worse than just regular sin. So they have this concept in their mind of this stench in their mind. So even though they might claim love the sinner but hate the sin, they hate LBGTQ. Hi, Maya.
So
Right. So it's
the master says human spirituality is composed of three aspects: relationships, values, and life purpose. I can ride with that if that's the definition of spirituality. But if you define spirituality as this whole
supernatural.
separate uh, place where all these activities and beings and all these
Mm-hmm.
magical events happen, that I cannot ride with, because
Correct.
there's no evidence of
Uh,
that existing.
of that existed, and the way that she is using, as you will realize here in this context, using spirituality is not in that aspect of relationship values and life purpose. She's using it as from the point of view of supernatural or having some connection to God.
Phil, please,
Yes,
can
please.
I need your permission to do something.
Okay,
um
go ahead.
so Maya was on a
Uh-huh.
stream just, well, last
Oh
night,
yes.
my time last night. um
Right.
and the lady whose channel she was on, she's so close to hitting 1,000. She does a fantastic job. So
Yeah.
is it okay to put the link to
Yeah.
Maya's
Of
interview,
course.
and so people can go
Mm-hmm.
and watch the beautiful Maya and also subscribe to the channel, right?
The
That's
channel. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
So do you want me to
Um.
continue reading?
Yeah. Continue reading.
Okay, when I'm done reading, I'll put the link in there. So
Yeah.
God says, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. As a church, we are responsible for letting Barbados know the position of heaven on human sexuality. We we are responsible for
Responsible.
letting the
Mm-hmm.
country know that God created male and female, that a person cannot change their sex by poisoning and mutilating their bodies, which are the temple of God. That same sex marriage is contrary to both God and nature. We are.
No. Wait,
Want me to
pause
stop?
there a minute. Yeah. Because we know that ain't true. We know, especially where the part she says contrary to nature, ain't true. There's scientific evidence to show that, and observations that other animals in the animal kingdom do have same sex, same thing, same sex relations. So again, she is misrepresenting the scientific consensus. Her, as I said, her dogma, her Christian beliefs are trumping the research. And she will claim, because she did claim in another, it was not an article, and something else, she claimed that, oh, what she's saying is scientific. It isn't. And the thing is, as I said, people will accept just take that because she has doctor behind her name.
Gosh.
You can continue.
Okay, so uh well, they're mutilating their bodies, which are the temple of God. I don't know when I signed up to my body being a temple of God. My body is just my body. I don't know about
Correct.
mine being a temple. Maybe
Temple of, yeah.
Maybe yours is a
No,
temple. Mine ain't a
mine
temple.
ain't, mine ain't no
I'm
temple.
good.
No, Nope,
So
nope,
anyway,
nope.
um,
But yes, before we continue, so she got me a bit puzzled
okay,
because
go on.
when Paul, I realized I, I put it on the reverend hat, right? The reverend thing because she is making some claims there that not even the Bible meets. So Reverend Grant is in the house.
Very good.
Now, you see, she is there saying that your body is a temple of God, but she is trying to apply that to all people, including those who are not Christians. But when Paul was speaking, he was talking to whom? He was talking to Christians. He was not talking to unbelievers. So now she's extending this to unbelievers. So there's a flaw there in her argument, a serious flaw. All right. Yeah, we can continue.
Continue. Right. Okay, Reverend Grant. Where's Reverend Grant been? It's been a while. Oh, and by the way, guess who we have in chat?
Wait, wait, the master who? Oh, Steve McRae, sir.
No,
Finally.
I was just saying,
Look,
Steve McRae manager has been missing in action. Everyone else is first now, except Steve McRae manager. So it's good to see you. Where have you been? Ah, the
wait, wait,
master
wait, wait,
said,
wait, wait. What is it that he's referring to? There's no scientific evidence of what?
there's no scientific evidence of that fail. The researcher shows that only in cases of human handlers and influence, and the results are almost nil, 100% fact. Okay.
What? What is that
He,
he's referring to?
he's talking about the LGBTQ, that there is no scientific evidence for it.
That isn't true. There is the biological research shows that it is, and it's not the human influence. It's people observing animals in their natural habitat. But how
And
is the human influence going to influence that?
can I ask a favor? When we're done reading the article, can I show a quick video? It's only 6 minutes long.
That's okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah. Definitely.
I've put the link in the chat to Beat the Cult. Fantastic lady. Maya was on there. Maya was on there. She did a fantastic interview. I'm yet to watch it. It was middle of the night when it was being streamed. My end here, but I will watch it when I'm done here. So please go. She's got just a few more subscribers. I think about 7 more subscribers to make 1,000. So, and if you know the work she does on Twitter, oh my, you would be on there just subscribing. She does an amazing job, just exposing religion and talking. Listen, she's big deal on Twitter. Big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me continue
Continue
with
read. Yeah.
this here. So okay, we are responsible for letting our fellow citizens know lovingly, but in no uncertain terms, that homosexuality, bisexuality, queerness, pansexuality, and so on are offensive to God, because they mar his image and contradict his plans. We are responsible for saying loud and clear that these are sins in God's sight. But like all other sins, they can be forgiven if they are acknowledged and forsaken instead of being celebrated with pride. In this transition of Barbados to a God rejecting country that empowers children to prematurely take the reins of their lives into their own hands and blindly calls this child protection, a society that condones and legalizes sexual perversions, a society that has begun to celebrate sin, to call God evil and to call good evil and evil good, to take light for
Mm.
darkness and darkness for light. In such a society, silence is not golden. The church of God needs to stand up and speak out. Yeah, so the church of God needs to stand up and speak out. But the question I have for this lady is, these people, who created them this way? If you're so anti the people you call lesbian, gay, pansexual, um, whatever sexual, who created them that way? Well, according to your book,
Correct. Mm-hmm.
after all, your scripture says, before I formed you, I'd known you from your mother's belly. If God didn't want people being gay, then why give them those
Yeah,
desires?
and
If He didn't want
desires.
people expressing their sexual
But
preference, why create them that way?
but as you know, the argument will be that they chose to be that way.
They chose it.
Yeah, that's the argument. They will say, they chose to be that way.
I have I
But
have
it's
a story. I have a story that completely debunks that.
okay. Yeah, share the story. Yeah,
No, it's
share it.
just someone I worked with, a young
Mm-hmm.
man with I'm not sure if it is Down syndrome or what was the other one? Anyway, he was born with a birth defect, right? And my company, we would go and
Mm-hmm.
look after him because now he's an adult, can't live at home anymore. Well, a young adult can't live at home anymore, right? And so to try and promote some level of independence, he they bring them and put two, three of them in a in their own little home, right? There's staff that try and help them maintain, as much as possible, a what you would call
Mm-hmm.
independence. They're never going to be 100% independent, but at least just to have some level of feeling like they are in control of their own money. They get to they get to set their own alarms to get themselves
Yeah.
to school, to work, whatever they choose to do with themselves. And so this person, when he was living in his mother's place, he's never been sexual. And now he's
Mm-hmm.
now in this place. But when you see him, he is he is just very effeminate, very effeminate. It's
Mm-hmm.
just so natural, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
taught. He has not learned this from anywhere. He lives with his mom, who's well, she's single, right? And so he he hasn't picked this up from anywhere at all, but just comes across in that manner, right? So when I met him, at this time I was a Christian, and so I was thinking, why is he, coming off like this? And he started telling folks, "Oh, I want my own boyfriend. I want my own boyfriend." I'm like, okay. So as a company, they hire the services of another company. They teach specialized sex ed, right, to children
Mm-hmm.
with such conditions. Well,
Mm-hmm.
children, young adults. And so they had somebody come and teach him sex ed. Oh my, the sex ed class, my. It was so informative. It was so, there was everything in it. And thankfully, the lady who was teaching the sex ed said to him that it's okay for him to be gay, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
hammered on consent, 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 right? I took him one time to the store and I lost him in the store. I don't know where he went, and I was worried. Where's he gone? I've lost him. Only to go find him in the women's shoe section. He picked the shoe with the biggest heel, the biggest heels. What I couldn't possibly wear. I wouldn't wear that
Mm-hmm.
at all. And this boy took his shoes off, put those shoes on, and he was just strutting in the store. It was turning heads, right? And I asked him, where have you learned to walk in those shoes? He said, nowhere. He says, I just put them on. It was so natural. It just, so when
The,
I saw him,
the,
I'm thinking, nobody's taught this boy this.
the,
He's just,
correct. But as the thing is, you see, the problem is, and this gets me really peeved too with people, is that they always want to see things in black and white and from their own perspective, as straight. And you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person. It's not that they choose to. In biology, because of evolution, there's a spectrum. It is not black and white.
okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
No. Sorry. Carry on. I just wanted to get the
Oh,
video ready.
okay. Right. So it's not black and white as a lot of Christians and other people, because I realize it's not only Christians, but even some atheists,
Yes.
which is sad, right? The science shows that it is not just black. It's not black and white. There's a continuum. Both males and females have male and female hormones. From a biological perspective, you do, but
Yes.
I heard where when you are in the womb, a male is really a female, and it's at a certain point that something happens in the brain, and then it determines whether to come out that way as a male. But even so, it is still a continuum,
I mean,
and that's why some people feel like a male trapping female body or a female trapping thing, and it's not as simple as people like to make it.
No.
And this there's biological research that shows that, right? So a lot more. There's a lot more understanding from studies that show these things. Yes, you have a bit of controversy, but for the most part, this is what is emerging, right? And it makes sense. Yeah.
Kalesia says,
and I'm out.
Yeah, because
Good.
in a world where the people who identify as the LGBTQ are a minority, right?
Yeah.
To have that space to openly be yourself, right? And then to get shut down at every single point in time. There's someone ready to, just attack you. There's someone ready to just come against you. I can understand the frustration. I can understand. But can I just play this video if you don't mind?
Give me 1 second. I need to address this.
Okay.
The master say it has nothing to do with brain and the XX turns to XY. And the master, it doesn't just goes with XX and XY. It's a lot more complicated than that. It is a lot more complicated than just XX and XY defining male, female.
It is.
Just letting you know, it is more than that.
And even if there's a comment from Facebook, Stella Bell says, even if it is a choice, it is no
one's business. Correct.
Hang on. How do you make people's private lives your business? How is it your business? Huh? Who gets to, anyway, never mind. Can I play the video, please?
Yes, play video.
A gay dog, buffalo, and lion walk into an Indiana bar. The bartender says, "We don't serve your kind here."
Whoa. I wouldn't turn a lion away. That's discrimination.
He's not lying.
Howdy, friends. Trace here for D News with a special guest, Natalia Reagan. She is an anthropologist and a primatologist, and she's awesome.
Hey, guys. There's currently a great debate raging across the United States about a law in Indiana which allegedly allows businesses to discriminate based on religious freedoms, ironically called the Religious Freedom Act, sparking outrage from the LGBT community as they are clear targets of this legislation.
Discrimination and prejudice has evolutionary roots, but then again, so does homosexuality. Research done in the 90s and early 2000s looked at sheep's sexual orientation, as they are some of the gayest animals in the animal kingdom. As many as 1 in 10 rams can be gay and will live exclusively gay lives with only male partners, even with fertile females around. The researchers believe they found a biological underpinning for homosexuality by studying these rams' hypothalamuses. Gay rams' hypothalami maybe was biologically different than straight rams. Baba, they were born this way.
You know it. It's not just sheep. More than 450 vertebrates and more than 1,500 species overall engage in homosexual acts aplenty, illustrating that homosexuality isn't against nature. It's completely part of nature.
Beetles, birds, bonobos, bats,
dolphins, orangutans, macaques, and penguins.
Dragonflies, albatross, dogs and cats, even lions all exhibit homosexual behavior.
Yep, that mighty king of the jungle ain't afraid to engage in a little spooning, sporking, and even forking of the same sex.
But why? Why would nature evolve something that seems counter to evolution?
Right? If the origin of species is correct and we're all here to achieve reproductive success, allowing us to spread our genes.
Did you want to say something about that, Phil?
No, I was laughing here. Stupid monkey philosophy says gay rams just have a certain right thing to yeah, but you see, but the thing is, I was saying that because of evolution, you will expect this to happen. As I say, it's not necessarily a continuum. It's not black and white. This is expected if evolution occurs. Right? So it gets, as I say, it gets me very peeved when some people just make these blanket statements and then claim they have research when they have not.
Exactly. You know, I was actually pleasantly surprised to find out that this was quite prevalent in the animal kingdom, because I've heard it said by a lot of Christians. Well, Christians I've heard they said, "Oh, it's not normal. Even animals don't do it." And then I go searching and find out that, oh no, the contrary is the case. Right? It's quite prevalent. And after all, we are just senior animals. We're just a bit more advanced. So, you know.
And then there's some things we can't do that those animals can do better than us. So we're advanced. You could put inverted commas.
All right. Okay.
You know. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think we because of our brain and being able to do things spatially, or think long term and so on, give us a evolutionary advantage over some animals, right? But in terms of, let's say we had to try to run against a wolf, we can outrun the wolf. Our bodies will eventually burn out quickly, right? And the wolf will outrun us or capture. So, there's certain, as you said, there are certain evolutionary advantages, right? Because of the way our brain is developed, it gives us an evolutionary advantage over some species. So there are things that we can do that they can. There are things that they can do that we can't.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes, they have done research in the book of
fairy tales and sky daddies.
Sky daddies. Because
that's so funny.
Because this same person here, this same doctor here, she will make the same claim that some people are making, that it is scientific that this doesn't happen in nature. But clearly research is showing that is their nature, and this is what you expect if you have evolution. Evolution is not necessarily directional. It does not have a mind, right? It does not have a mind, and I think the main problem is that many people do not understand evolution or don't have a good basic concept of evolution. So when certain things like this are said, when they talk about evolution of the coronavirus, etc., changing, all of that is evolution and mechanisms that cause, there are mechanisms in evolution that cause these changes, and it is not any mind guiding anything, and it's not random neither, because there are certain mechanisms that cause these changes to happen. Or you can continue.
And also, this is just, it's not hard at all. This is one of the simplest things, right? Just live and let live. This just, who gets hurt? These people read from a book where one man had 1,000 women, right? But somehow that is normal. A man, 1,000 women, that's normal. Not only is it normal, he's also considered the wisest man in the Bible, right? He's even given his accolades. But two people in a loving relationship of same sex, no, that's not normal. But
Normal,
1,000 women with one man. I mean, think about it. Where is the sense in that?
Sense.
Where is the sense in that? It's senseless. Absolutely senseless.
Oh gosh, boy. Continue the video. You can continue video.
Okay.
Far and wide, then why would organisms evolve not to do that? Science is still working on it.
There are a number of theories, though. Female Japanese macaques were observed mounting each other even when suitable males are around, and they hypothesize it may be a way to climb the social ladder by becoming a dominant female in a social group and thus gaining influence and resources.
Though other researchers claim that homosexual behavior could come down to something as simple as seeking pleasure. These animals are just doing what feels good. Research with giraffes found 1 in 20 would be necking with a member of the same sex at any given moment, while bonobos and dolphins are generally bisexual, but will go through phases of exclusive homosexual activity.
They got to give it the old college try, right? But it's not just for show. Some animals sustain lifelong homosexual relationships, like penguins. Researchers from the University of Minnesota found permanently pair-bonded female-female couples raise chicks nearly as well as female-male couples. Not quite as well, but better than a single female penguin would have done. This indicates to those researchers that homosexual pair bonds may have evolved as a way to better raise young. They can even raise chicks that were fertilized by a dominant male that was separate from the pair bond without having to pair bond with that male. Benefits all around.
Totally. Roy and Silo, two male chinstrap penguins that once lived at the Central Park Zoo, had a long-term love affair that included an adoption of a chick. The two remained together for 6 years until Silo found his eyes were wandering to a newly introduced female named Scrappy.
So just because Roy stooped Silo yesterday doesn't mean he can't get down with Scrappy today too, right?
Right?
Cool.
Yeah, if these animals can teach us something, it's that sexuality is not static or fixed, but fluid and flexible.
Obviously, y'all are going to have comments about this. So go down into the comment section and leave them there. You can also subscribe for more D News. And Natalia, where can they find you if they want?
Yeah, that's just nice and short. And fairly straightforward. I've never understood why the god of these religions is so fixated on what people do with their private parts. I don't know.
And as you know, just now what came to my mind is when we were talking about these animals, there are animals who, like the African snail, who can change sex.
Oh, African snail can change sex? Hang on.
If there are too many males and not enough females, they change. Yeah.
Phil, you pulled that one from thin air. It's not possible.
No.
You say African snail.
African snail is one, and there's some other animal. I can't remember which other
Yeah,
animal.
go on.
Yeah, that can. If there's enough, there's enough,
Sex.
not enough
Huh?
thing. Let's see. I think I read
The
that.
sexual identity of snails is complicated.
Oh shoot. Or animals that change sex.
Sexual identity of snails is quite complicated. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or the clownfish. They said here there are trans animals. Clownfish,
Yes.
slipper limpet, cardinals, some chickens, bearded dragon, spotted hyena. There are transgender proclavites in animals. Yeah. Snakes, lizards, beetles, fish, and birds, to name a few, all exhibit transgender behaviors in which males imitate females to gain advantages, including reduced competition, better access to territory, improved mating opportunities. But the thing actually changes. Let's see, change gender. Yes.
Oh, wow.
This is the case with clownfish and also many invertebrates, and some are cynardians, like the hydras and jellyfish. Yeah.
So
Sponges,
they can
mollusks, yeah.
they can transition. Do they have to
Yeah.
take any hormones? Take
And
any,
some from no,
do they
I
have to
think
go
it's
do
there.
they have to go and see a doctor for that? Or
No, they don't have
No.
to see a doctor for that, but it's in nature. So when these people come saying that transsexual, this having being trans is not common in nature, they are wrong. Totally wrong.
Absolutely.
And they don't do their research properly. They do not. Right? So it is sad. And I know, especially among Christians, they hardly do any reading and any research. They just listen to what their narrative, the narrative from their own apologists or pastors say.
So,
Because then they're told that there's a conspiracy. These people hate God, and these are these things they're saying to turn you away from God. I think if you is that what she said in there too? All right, Ben. I think if you finish reading the article, or you want me to finish reading?
I finished it.
You finished it. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I finished the article.
Right. So you see, she is trying to say that this thing is a perversion, right? And basically, that is not, God didn't create this here. But in nature, we see that let's grant for argument's sake that God created these creatures. And in nature, you are seeing there are creatures who are engaging in homosexual actions, etc. And trans can be trans. Right? Why is it different for a human being? Because if you think of it, if they want to come and argue and say, oh, but we are humans, we are made especially in the image of God, blah, 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 blah. What? If you look back at Genesis, didn't God said that when he looked at the other animals, is either him or Adam, the other animals, they had mates, but for Adam, there was none. So if you want to use the argument that, oh, we are special, blah, 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 why should that be highlighted that all the other animals had mates, but Adam had none? So God went about making a mate for Adam.
And then God decides to bring all the animals to him to see whether he can pick one of them for himself, and he decides, oh no, this
No,
one
no.
it's not a match, right? It's like what do you call this thing now? What's that? What do you call that dating where blind date? Right?
Yeah.
God decides to do a blind date with all the animals, and what's his name? Adam. And of course he didn't find any date. And then God now what? What? What?
Imagine even researchers have documented intersex conditions in grizzly. Yeah,
What?
intersex conditions, intersex in grizzly, black, and polar bears.
Oh, wow.
In certain populations, a small percentage of female bears possess genitalia that resemble those of male bears. Some of these sows give birth to cubs despite looking like a boar, a male bear. Well, the evidence is there. In nature, it's there. So all the talk that people give that oh, it's not there in nature, and it has nothing to do, the master, with human influence. These are grizzly, polar bears, etc. These are animals in the wild. Has nothing to do with human influence, as you were trying to say. Nothing. You need to do your research properly.
I mean,
and I see, I get very peeved when people just come and make certain statements. It's not just about being sensitive. It's being sensitive when people do not follow the science.
Oh, yes. And even if, Phil, for me, right, it's when people start talking about, oh, research says it doesn't happen. Oh, science says it doesn't happen. Listen, in the grand scheme of things, right? When you narrow it down to the individual
person,
that has this very natural desire towards sex person, right? What has the science got to do with it? What has all your research got to do with it? You understand?
But the thing is, they are human beings, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has desires. It is scientific in terms of that. It is part of nature, right? And that is harm. You have chemicals, and chemicals make you feel a certain way, and learning about how it works. Yes, is the science part, right? But the thing is, when persons come to disparage people, that's from these things, to say that it's not natural, I get very peeved.
Yes,
because whether or not is it, even if it was, it is still natural. We are part of nature. We are no special creature. We are part of nature. So if it happened just in human species, it is still part of nature. So as I keep saying, the universe don't care about us. We are speck, not even a speck. We are probably a proton in the grand scheme of the universe. That insignificant. So we need to get our heads out of our asses and realize we are nothing. Not in that way.
Yes. Phil said, get your head out of your asses.
Out of your asses. Yeah.
Phil said that. Yes.
Right. So you have to
think about this, right? You read about the character of this God. When they say, oh, it's an offense to God, we are ambassadors, we have to tell people about God, oh, it's an offense to God, God is angry, and blah, blah, blah. Hang on a second. Wait, are you telling me about the same God that impregnated a young girl, right? The one that was his ghost to impregnate a young girl. Is that one? Is it the same God that killed all the babies, all the children, because why? Because he regretted making
Granted,
humans. That one,
but
right?
but
So
mhm.
listen, his morals are in question.
It's a great question.
So
But
how is he now
but
dictating to us what we should and shouldn't do? I mean, look at the case
but,
of
but
look at the case of Onan,
uh,
right? Look at the case
oh
of
yeah.
the case of Onan was such that he
Yeah.
was doing everything to the T. God is the one even saying you have to sleep with your
See.
dead brother's wife.
Oh yeah.
Come on now. This man just lost his brother, right? He's still grieving his brother. The woman is still grieving her husband. But here is God coming and saying, no, 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 because I'm God, you two
God.
have to
Yeah.
sleep together, and there must be a specific way to do it. You've got to make sure to come inside the lady. And
Mm-hmm.
how else did God know whether Onan came inside the lady or not? He was probably standing there and having a good
Voyeur.
look, make,
Voyeur.
making sure to figure out where has Onan spilled his seed into, right? So that God, is it that one that you want us to? Oh, please, we don't take anything he says seriously.
but
Anyway, he
but
doesn't exist. So
but you see, I will advise anybody to get that book by is always get her last name. I can't pronounce it.
ah, Chuck,
Francesca, the God Anatomy, the Anatomy of God.
Shaka
Yes, Chicago Pro. Yes, that opened my eyes to a lot of things that the don't know the special lay person about
Hey, post that
the
now.
God concept and the God concepts around that time and how it relates, how the God in the Hebrew scriptures and Bible relates back to all of those things. Because trust me, that there's a development in terms of God having a body, and it gradually moved away from there. Because when you look at in the early parts of scripture, you see Adam, not yeah, Adam. With Adam, God was walking in the garden. God said, "Let us make man in our own image."
Who
Oh,
who
and
was who was standing there when God was talking? Phil?
right, nobody.
So God,
I
wait,
don't
hang on.
know.
So God is saying all these fancy things. Oh, let us make man in our own image, and let us do this and let us do that. In the beginning, there were no
Hmm.
humans on the earth, right?
No humans. No
Let us make man in our own image,
one
right?
image.
So there was
God is
clearly
a
no man.
monkey.
There was clearly no man available. So who was that person documenting everything that God was saying? If there's no way to figure out who that person was, then they're lying to you. Someone is lying to you about the whole Adam and Eve. Can you imagine some people who come and tell you, "Oh, if God wanted people to be LGBT, He would have created Adam, Eve, and all the." There
Hmm.
is no
Yeah, God
record.
didn't create. Well,
No,
God didn't create
nobody saw
Adam
your
for
God
Steve
creating
or Steve
Adam.
for Adam.
Nobody saw your God creating nothing. Nobody
Nothing.
saw it.
Correct.
So
Correct.
just
and
lies, lies,
and
lies.
and not only that, but they're pulling from this God concept, even in the Hebrews, they're pulled from other traditions. When I
Pantheon.
listened to that thing, pantheons, and it was a development, and then God loves, we call God got this obsession with sex. He had Ben to talk about his feet. His feet is not referring to his actual feet. It's talking about his penis.
God has a
Feet was a
penis.
euphemism for penis within those ancient days. Within those that in that time, feet, bow, arrow, phallic symbols. So God's feet is really his genital.
So hang on, but so you're telling me that scripture that says the earth is his footstool.
For stool, yeah.
What are you trying to tell me, Phil?
His feet.
Huh?
Yeah, look, you remember the cherubims? You remember the one with the cherubim? A good example. You know the one with the cherubims, and they said the cherubims were folded. The wings were folded in.
Yes.
The wings was actually supposed to hide their genitals because God's genitals were bigger than theirs. That is what it is. It is not what the church and so on try to think. Because when you look, I tell you, when you look at the actual archaeology, the actual Hebrew, the how the God concepts were around that time, they gradually got rid of certain things and tried to cover them up using different terminologies and so on to make it more euphemistic. And the church cover up when they then fit their narrative. Right? So that's the thing. But you know, the person in the pew wouldn't know these things because it is not shared by the same priests that will study these things. They won't share it because people will lose their faith.
Yes, they would. And so they should.
So they should.
Do you know, Phil? Do you know that there are cultures and communities that have no concept of God? Right? So this idea of God, there's some places that have no concept of God. It's something I've been researching recently.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know when these missionaries and colonizers, when they went over to Africa to try and recruit people into Christianity.
Yeah.
One of the problems they faced was that when they went to some of these people and trying to preach to them about God and telling them that God killed his own son and he did this and it, for some people, it was just ridiculous, right? They could not understand this concept of a God. Because in some of these cultures, they worship their ancestors, not a god. They worship ancestors. They worship what was it now? No, in their case, their god works for them, right? Not the other way around. So when they need when they need the rain hasn't. There's been no rain, right? They call on the god of the rain.
Right, God of the rain. Yeah,
God is supposed to be working for them, right? So, but
correct.
what the people have, what over the years, what they have done is deliberately, right, wipe out those belief systems.
Belief systems, yes, yes.
No, you need to get rid of your beliefs because we have done research. We're the white man. We know what we're talking about. In fact, we have direct access to the God himself.
To God himself. Yeah.
We saw him yesterday, right? And so slowly, that those cultures have just been erased.
Wiped. Yep.
But guess what?
Yep.
There's still cultures and communities that still exist till this day. No matter how much you try, you can't erase millions of years of people's cultures. You can't do it. You can try.
You can try, but as you said, there is a culture.
Did you see the video? I'm sure. I don't know if I've shown it on my channel before.
I think so.
Video of these Christians. They're trying to. There's this community in the God, I've forgotten the name of the place. They're actively trying to penetrate in these particular people have not had any interaction with the modern world, right?
Right.
Still very primitive and still very, and the locals are trying to just keep them that way, right? Don't bother them. But these Christian
in Brazil.
Is it in Brazil?
I think it's in Brazil.
actively trying. And the reason why the people are trying to keep these Christians away is, look, you're going to, these people have the immune system, right, may not be built to it's the adaptation of whatever you
Yeah.
bring in from your Americas and wherever these people are coming from, right? It's that mixture. Because diseases, this is one of the reasons why the first time in Africa, the first time they tried to colonize Africa, it didn't work because
Right.
they
They
had
brought the diseases.
malaria, right?
Malaria.
There was
Oh.
malaria, and the people in they have a natural immunity to
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, not natural. I mean, you know what I mean. They've learned
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just
That in their
adapt,
body.
right?
Yeah.
But these people couldn't, so they went back for made up the malaria medicines, and now come back armed with their malaria medicines, ready to come and overtake. It's really sad, and just knowing that there are cultures that they don't have this thing called God.
No,
In
they don't
some
have a
cultures, they don't know what you're talking about.
no
What do you
know
mean?
what you're talking about.
What do you
Right,
mean?
there's a particular culture that does not have no concept of God, nor even I think spirits.
Oh, yeah, and spirits too.
Both, yeah.
Hmm, hmm.
I can't remember the name. I had looked at it. I had seen. I heard it on a program, and then I went searching, and I found. I cannot remember the name of the group of people. I think I was searching for cultures that don't have a God concept,
Okay.
and the name came up because I heard the name of the group, but I could not remember the name of the group. So I searched for cultures that don't have a God concept, and it came up.
Are there
I
any
don't know if it's in
cultures,
Papua.
non-theistic religion? Right. The 6 countries in the world with the most. Oh,
Cultures without God
oh, the
concept.
Piraha. It's called the Piraha.
Yes,
The Piraha
yes,
people.
yes,
Let me
yeah,
share my screen.
yeah, yeah,
Hang
yeah.
on.
Share your screen. Share your screen. Because Christians, what they do is say God put I was looking for that because they said God put a God hole in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
They come with that rhetoric that every person have this God hole in their heart that they need filling with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have all these cultures worshiping a God. That's their explanation. But
Mm-hmm.
that group shows no, it ain't
Ah,
so.
let me read just a little bit of this.
Through
If you
the
don't mind.
black swan fallacy,
Mm-hmm. What
that there are
fallacy is
no
that?
black
Black
swans.
stone.
It's
Oh, the
called the black swan fallacy. There's no culture that exists that don't believe in God. But the black swan is those. It's those. They've proved them otherwise.
hmm.
Shows otherwise.
Okay. So let me read a little bit of this then.
That
So
was a
this is
tribe
the
in the
person
Colorado area.
talking. Says, I was standing out in front of a Jimi Hendrix concert, and Jimi Hendrix is from Seattle, in San
Mm-hmm.
Diego, selling LSD to get money to get in. And I met this young girl, a very cute girl, and we started talking. And it turned out that she was the daughter of missionaries. And it began
Mm-hmm.
a long trip for me into the Christian church and the Christian faith, and then out again many years later. And that's been the greatest impact in my life. Many people don't know that Billy Graham wrote an undergraduate dissertation on blood atonement in the cultures of the world when he was a student at Wheaton College. He began the idea that later became known as redemptive analogies, which is the idea that God has prepared every culture on earth for the coming of the message of his Son and the need for salvation. And that's a very powerful message. I'm going to tell you in a bit that that is not true, but you probably know that I'm going to say that. Anyway, let me get to the best part about the concept of God. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
I
Okay.
went to Brazil.
Yes, I went to Brazil, believing very strongly that it was gospel hardened, that nobody there was interested in the gospel, and that we needed to take the gospel to places it has never been. I preached on this a lot, taking this word to people who had never heard it before. We needed it, and who would
Want
want it?
it?
So it was my impression that when I arrived at wherever I was going to be, there would be a group of people standing on the shores, delighted to receive me and hear this wonderful message that I had for them. But the first thing I had to deal with when I got to Piraha was that I hadn't done my background reading. As an anthropologist would have
As any anthropologist will have
as
done.
any anthropologist would have done. As a missionary, I felt that this was a new story with me and God. Why did I need to read about these people? They were and are monolingual, one of the only
Mm-hmm.
groups known in the world that are completely monolingual. So I got off a little Cessna missionary plane and tried to talk to them. And they said something like, I cannot read that.
Whoever that is, it means
Hi.
don't
It
speak.
means
It means
don't speak to me with a crooked head. Speak to me with a straight head. And what that means is that the Piraha's language is straight head.
not there.
And
Straight
our
head.
language, any foreign language, is crooked head.
Crooked head. Ah.
They don't actually call themselves the Piraha. That's a Brazilian term, and nobody knows really what it means. They call themselves Hayati, the straight ones, and we are
Mm-hmm.
all bent. They are
Ooh.
ethnocentric. I didn't tell you they were completely virtuous. A lot of people say that I'm claiming they're this absolutely perfect group. That would not say They would not say that about themselves, and I certainly wouldn't say that about them. They have their own issues, but one of them is not God. Oh, I like that. They have their own issues, but one of them is not God. So the first thing I had to do was study and learn the language of Piraha. You can't study the language of any group unless you also understand their culture and how the language comes out of their values and beliefs and the things that are meaningful to them. I did start to do a little background reading on them because I knew that the Protestant missionaries who had preceded me had started working with them in 1959. This is terrible. Why can't these Christians just leave people alone? Huh? So these first people had gone there, the first team with the Wycliffe Bible translators, which was the missions that I was with. They worked from 1959 to 1967. The next team worked from 1967 to 1976. And then I came in 1977. They had absolutely no results whatsoever. And this was a very difficult thing to understand. I believed that I was smarter and God was going to help me more. And I would find this redemptive analogy. I would find this key, this little Trojan horse that God had put into their culture and let out all their spiritual beliefs. And they will find out that they in fact were religious. But I also read the account of the first Catholic missionaries who worked with them, who abandoned them after just a couple of years as the most recalcitrant people they had ever encountered in the entire Amazon. When you go there, their culture doesn't seem that impressive. My first impression was that they seemed like a bunch of people on a camp out. they just they were just lying around most of the day. I didn't see much ritual, no body painting, no feather decorations, or anything like that. I hadn't yet been with them to the jungle, which was the big revelation about their culture to me. Okay, let me go go look for the end. So I had to talk to them about God. As I learned more of the language, I remember being so excited because this young boy showed up at the village and I asked the Piraha fellow and he said the language. And I realized that means his father sent him. So I built up gradually the ability to translate parts of the Bible, and I read to them my translation of parts of the Gospel of John one night and gave them my testimony. And as you know, anybody who's got the remotest connection with the Christian church, giving a testimony is supposed to be a powerful thing. You talk about how I was once blind and now I see. How I went from this very bad background to this very good person that I am today. So I gave my testimony and I told them about my stepmother committing suicide. When I got done telling them, they all burst out laughing. They burst out laughing. And I said, "Why are you laughing? No, what are you laughing about?" I was really hurt. "Why are you laughing?" They said, "We don't kill ourselves. You people kill yourselves? What is this?" I realized they don't have a word for worry. They don't have a concept of depression. They don't have any schizophrenia or a lot of the mental health problems. And they treat people very well. If someone does have any sort of handicap, and the only ones I'm aware of are physical, they take good care of them. When people get old, they feed them. Oh, guys, this is very eye-opening. It's quite a long article, but it's interesting to know that these people who take this religion to cultures, can you imagine the processes that you have to go through to try and break down people's uh, uh, reception
So, yeah,
towards your ideology? These people
ideology.
were opposed to it. They don't want this.
Correct.
We don't kill ourselves here, right? But slowly, slowly, they start
Mm-hmm.
by learning your language. They start by, and this is one good thing what they do, right? They will come and give you schools, give you
Yeah.
hospital, give you a little bit of electricity here and there, some clothes, they offer you the good stuff. Why?
Stuff. Yeah.
While they're doing that, they're slowly introducing the religion, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they predominantly, right, what they've been known to do is to work on the children whose minds are still very what's the word?
Malleable. Malleable.
Yes, who haven't been completely uh
Yeah.
sucked in, right? So
Sucked
then
in. Mm-hmm.
they can then feed on
Feed.
those little minds, right?
Yeah.
With their nonsense. And you know
Yeah.
what's so painful for me when I think about it is, so you that's come thinking that you've got the message, the ultimate message, the God message. Well, it turns out that even yours is fake.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you've done all of that to do what exactly? Well, no. It turns out your Jesus is fake, your
Fake.
religion
Yeah.
is fake, your all of it
Mm-hmm.
is not true. So you have managed to destroy communities. All for
Tease.
what?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're happy. Anyway,
For control. It's for
me,
control.
me and Phil and Maya and
Yeah.
all the rest of us, we we are in the business of rectifying that nonsense,
Yeah.
right? That
It's
they've
no
done
nonsense. Yeah.
slowly over the years. And
Here's. Yeah.
Phil, in our
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, we would not be able to achieve so much. We might be able to
Much, but at least we will be able to prevent
to live.
I, and help people to leave
Yes.
those bad ideas and to learn how to think, to think more
Mm,
clearly. And because as you realize, the people say, oh, what wrong with religion? What wrong with things? This, as we point out today, is the problem. And you, regardless, I keep saying, regardless of whether or not you think religion is harmful, there are persons who are primed to go to extremes. And religion caters to that. And this is what happens here. Then people get harmed, people are traumatized, some for life, can't sleep, having nightmares, commit suicide. And then what gets me really angry is when they come and say, oh, look at statistics, how many homosexuals, how many LBGTQ people are committing suicide. It's because of you. You cause it. Because you traumatize the persons, you are marginalizing them, and they feel they have nowhere to turn, and you cause them to commit suicide. So take responsibility for your actions, Christians. And you are the religious jokers. Take responsibility and stop deflecting. Because it's you that caused it. Those persons, if they were accepted, they will feel accepted, even if they have, some of them have chemical imbalances that everybody, some persons do. And they will feel accepted and will not take that as an option. But when you push people in a corner like that, what do you expect? And then we'll say, oh, they're committing sin. Sin my ass. What sin? It's getting me really angry and around here to hear people talking nonsense and creating problems for people and then using, there's something called self-fulfilling prophecy. They create a self-fulfilling prophecy by their actions on these people. And then they say, oh, see, are you right? They commit suicide, they kill themselves, they do this, they get this mental thing. Of course, they're getting mental because you created, you're the problem. But the blinders of faith, the blinders of dogma. And that is why this person here, Dr. Veronica Evelyn, she's using her blinders of faith to ignore the actual sociological research that she was taught. And that is dishonest and despicable. And I have no feelings for persons like that. Because they go and learn these things and then try to keep the blinders on. They know otherwise, but trying to fit and skew stuff to fit their narrative, their dogma. And causing serious harm to people. Talking about evil, that's evil. She won't call LBGTQ evil. They're not evil. They ain't doing nothing. You causing the harm. You causing evil.
Exactly.
You're the darkness. And remember, God lied. Satan, the serpent, they lied. God lied. And you just lying like you're God.
Chai.
learning that from your own God. But sin is righteous.
Can I just let me read the conclusion of this article.
Yeah, read the conclusion.
He says, we learn that not all things we thought were universal are universal. Not all the things that make people happy are necessary to make people happy. And that the idea that somebody died on a cross 2,000 years ago that nobody ever saw, nobody knows anybody who ever saw, has any relevance to our happiness or our lives in any way today. We might take a lesson from the Piraha skepticism here. Nobody saw Jesus die. Well, nobody alive today saw Jesus die.
No.
Nobody alive ever spoke to anyone who saw Jesus die or rise again. So it's all just myths and people just trying to figure these things out. And so, yes, you have to keep on being skeptical. You have to keep on put on your
skeptical hat. Yeah, thinking hat.
Don't believe everything you're told. Right?
Correct.
You have to do your own homework.
Work. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, S. Thank you. That you just said it really well. And that's the same thing I would say. Be skeptical. Nothing wrong with that. If it smells like shit, very likely it is. If the bullshit meter seems to be heading towards the right, very likely it is.
Mhm.
And the more you practice skepticism, the more you think through stuff and logically and do the research that is required or necessary, it becomes a lot easier to pick up than people just talking bull. So thanks S very much. Thanks the audience. Thank you.
And
Those in the live chat. Robin Phillips, hi. Yeah.
everyone, please make sure to like the stream,
Like and stream and subscribe if you haven't.
How many subscribers you got now?
The last I checked, it was 115. I don't know as the numbers know it was growing.
Right. We'll get you to 1,000 in no time. So guys, please make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, so thank you everyone, and stay tuned because we still have some other things to come. And certain person, a person was in the chat who is supposed to we have to arrange for them to do it for interview on them. So so keep your ears, keep your eyes open to feel many more good things to come, and debunking all the crap that is being put out there to keep people on track so they make good decisions. All right, thank you everyone, and bye.